Yo, good morning. What's up, everybody? This is the inaugural episode, I suppose, of what would be the Chase Lounge. It's about 7:13 this morning in the Woodward Sports Studio. We're in here early, rocking and rolling. Gonna hopefully start getting in here early on a more regular basis and just start ripping and running this little 15, 20, 30 minutes recording of, whatever I feel like talking about, honestly. So if you don't enjoy, then you don't have to listen. This will be taped. You can skip through it if you want, but it's just going to be me, raw, unedited, unfiltered, and just hanging out here in the Chase Lounge. Like I said, I'm taking advantage of the time in the morning before any of the shows get rolling here at the Woodward Sports Studio. So if you're not a fan, or if you are, lock in, get tapped in. But for those who may be tapped in for the first time, my name's Chase. This is, I think we're gonna call it the Chase Lounge. We're just hanging out here in the studio before anybody else gets here, talking about whatever I feel like. Today's Thursday, April 24th. Nice sunny day here in Birmingham, Michigan is what it looks like outside. A little chilly in the morning, but it's gonna warm up pretty nice. And looking forward to a good weekend, man. I didn't do much last night. Had work, but afterwards hopped on the treadmill and tapped into some NBA action. Also tapped into some Transformers, and I think this is an underrated trilogy. Obviously, it's been the baton has been passed from Shia LaBeouf to Marky Mark, but I think if we go back and we revisit the original Transformers trilogy, I think it starts in like '07, '08 with the original Transformers, and then I can't remember when Revenge of the Fallen comes out. I think that might be one of my favorites, but Dark Side of the Moon as well. We'll go through them one by one, but Transformers, man, I think it's slept on. It's obviously a little cheesy, a little corny, but something that I think you can undoubtedly just look at, and then can't deny how cool it can be at times. Another thing that I think is undoubtedly just awesome and underrated is James Bond, but that's a cat we can skin a different day. I still want to talk about Transformers right now because I just watched the trilogy, and it's fresh in my mind right now, and I think they do a really fantastic job. I'm not going to talk about what they did with the Mark Wahlbergs and the dinosaurs and the animals and all that and stuff. I'm not as up to speed on all of that, but what we're talking about here is just the trucks and the cars and shit, and pretty badass. I think some of the cooler Decepticons too take place in the second and third films, like the Fallen, the main antagonist of the second film outside of Megatron, who we all know, has these I don't want to call them tentacles, but if it was some type of sea creature, and I know it's not a cephalopod, but I guess almost like starfish, it's these things that go all around his face, and I really dig when they move him independently. It's like an insect crawling on its legs, just dashing away. Yeah, I think that's pretty badass. I wish you got to see more of him, and Optimus does kind of just body him pretty quick, but I think they take the foundation of the Fallen, and they up the ante with the antagonist, and again, not the main antagonist in Dark Side of the Moon, but a more minor character who I really enjoyed was Shockwave. Shockwave is badass because he has again in the movie they have these insect features on these Decepticons. And real quick, we're gonna go back to the second movie. In the second movie, there is a really hot robot Decepticon. I mean, she is trying to take home Shia LaBeouf, and they get really honestly they get really close up, and you can see through her little silk night dress slowly the robot tail sneaks out, and it's for the horny little boys, that's for sure. It definitely gets the the 12 and up crowd going. I like thinking back to like when I was a kid. I think I was still in like middle school, high school when this movie comes out. So it's just like, oh, is that what college is going to be like? That's, and obviously it's exactly what college is like. But yeah, I just think that was something funny. I took a bunch of mushrooms one night in college, and a buddy of mine stayed up and we watched the movie, and then spent a good 6 hours. I think we were up till like 4 or 5 a.m. just talking Transformers. We got deep into the lore of it, the history, and fun fact. I don't think the Decepticons are really the bad guys. If you look into it, the Decepticons are, they just want to be like basically like free and independent of, the mechanism that they are able to transform into, while the Autobots view as like, oh, if you are, this cool, awesome fighting robot, but you transform into a fire truck, like you can only be a fire truck. And the Decepticons are like, yo, but like I might be a fire truck, but I feel like an ambulance, or like I feel like a cement mixer. And I think like from a human being standpoint, I rock more with the Decepticons in that tone and that message. Although horrible PR and marketing, like they had their plans to whatever plans they got going obviously aren't working. The Autobots have really flipped the script. It kind of reminds me of like this really good Mark Norman joke with when he describes how like women have made their gender roles offensive, and it's like, oh wow, it's like the Autobots have really flipped the script to make it seem like they're the bad guys, and the Decepticons want to like enslave everybody, when in all reality, they kind of want to keep the Decepticons and the Autobots in this tight little box, and the Decepticons just want to be themselves. So that might be enough Transformers talk right now. That's a lot of just nerding out over that shit. But again, really cool. Something I think is a little bit cooler that I talked about a moment ago was James Bond, and I don't think there's enough credit that goes into the action of these movies. Obviously, there's the whole, gimmick and joke now of, and the spoof with the Austin Powers movies. And honestly, I didn't realize those were spoofs until much too late in life, for being as big of a Bond fan as I am. But some of those action scenes in those Bond movies are freaking awesome, man. Like, one of my favorites, not only like as far as like the overall film, but like so the soundtrack, The Spy Who Loved Me. Carly Simon hits it in that song, but that opening scene is just so badass. Bond in the Swiss Alps or the French Alps or wherever he's at. He's in the European mountains, and banging this Russian broad. Gets like a fax out of his watch. Hey, you gotta get back to base. He's like, all right. Tells the girl, I gotta get going. No, James. And turns out she's this Russian spy. She calls in the team of skiers who are like got these machine guns just around the way. Call him in. He hops in the yellow suit, skiing away. Next thing you know, the Russians are on his ass. He's dipping, he's diving, he pulls out the shot, or not the shotgun, but he pulls out his gun. He starts shooting back, and he ends up killing the assailants. Skis right off a ledge, wearing a backpack. All of a sudden, rips the cord, parachute, British flag or the UK flag pops out, and then you hear the dun it, The iconic music. It's badass. And then if you know the movie, the dude he kills is the husband, fiance, lover of the Russian spy that he ends up having to team up with and bangs at the end of the movie. So not only is he banging the chick at the beginning of the movie, kills the boyfriend of the next chick that he bangs, but bangs her, finds out that, like reveals that he killed him, and then, just he's just too good. He's just James Bond to the man, and I forget what's the line he says because they're like caught in this little like escape pod, like fucking, and fuck, I think it's like, what does Q ask him? He's like, what are you doing, 007? And he says something about like healing relations or something like that, and it's funny, it's classic, but love James Bond. I mean, also some of the action scenes too that they have, like they run across some crocodiles, the Golden Eye, and Tomorrow Never Dies, and the Die Another Day. Pierce Brosnan movies had some pretty sick action scenes. I say, like when they have the helicopter dip down and he just like slides underneath it with the motorcycles, pretty badass as well. I really dig that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, some movie interest and stuff of myself. James Bond, Transformers. I feel like I said, just popular franchises. I feel like they had their moments in the sun, and people just kind of like throwing them to the wayside. I think it's just like, let's let them rebask in their glory and honor them for what they are, because I honestly think they are some fantastic film franchises, at least the first trilogy of Transformers. And then, I mean, the James Bond movies, like I said, you can go back. I remember learning that I was a man watching Dr. No, and I say that as a joke because I was like 7 years old, and Honey Rider, Ursula Andress, comes out of that water, man. And I'm watching the movie. My dad and his late friend, our buddy Pops, so we were so close to him, is what we called him. And they love James Bond. They'd be watching all the movies all the time, and I just sit there watching it with them. And man, I like the uncertainty of what was happening to my body as I see Honey Rider coming out of the water, and just like kind of looking around, and just like looking down, looking over like anybody else, like what the fuck is happening right now? And yeah, but I like, like I said, did no clue what was going on, but I knew I liked it. And yeah, Honey Rider, man. Dr. No, man, that movie, fond memories. Also, Jinx from Die Another Day at the end of the movie, the diamonds and the navel, pretty badass too. Halle Berry. Wasn't really a fan of short hair. It wasn't until like a little later in life that it kind of grew on me. I always thought it, like as a kid, I was like, oh, boys have short hair, so I always thought it was a boyish look. But as a kid, I didn't know. Like I said, like I said, I was watching James Bond, not understanding what was happening in my body. I had to wait till I grew up and was like, oh, okay, yeah. Girls can have short hair. It can look good on girls too. Guys can have long hair. It can look good on guys too. Or it could look stupid as fuck. It could look, I could go either way with my look. So, I've got long hair, but, so keeping it rocking and rolling. Like I said, just to kind of share some of my more of my interests. This is going to be, like I said, my 15 minutes, my half hour or whatever, is doing my own thing. And obviously I'm rocking the Lions shirt. It is today, the 24th of April. It is NFL draft day here, not in Detroit, but across the nation. I think takes place in Green Bay this year. And the Lions, we'll see what they do. It's also the first home playoff game for Detroit Pistons in, I think, like 6 or 7 years, or maybe longer than that. I'd have to double check myself, but At home, Game 3, tied series 1-1. Jesus Christ. And we'll see what happens. I mean, obviously, we're in the Woodward Sports Studio. We cover all things Detroit sports here with the Lions, the Tigers, the Red Wings, the Pistons. We do a little bit more of some like sports entertainment with like the wrestling world, the mixed martial arts, got some other side shows, from other guys here. Myself and JB, the guy who's normally in this seat, rocking and rolling in the mornings, captain in the plane, is and myself. We do a little NASCAR show. We call that Fast and Loose with JB Smooth and Chase Elliott Emily. He's fast, I'm loose. So if you like NASCAR, we're a couple casuals who just like to have fun talking about that. But I mean, like I said, I'm here just mostly just keeping it loose and talking about anything else that I really feel like. We were talking I think yesterday or the day before on the midday show Big D Energy about Scooby-Doo. That kind of got, I don't know, I can't remember how that topic got brought up or not, but there was an ongoing conversation like Velma, Daphne, and where people fell in the line. And I rocked Team Daphne. I think if we're talking cartoon, I think even if you go live action, I don't know. I don't think you could go wrong with Velma or Daphne. But yeah, I think like what sells me on Daphne too is this may sound a little bad, but she like comes from money. Like she's established, so like her family is well off. It's not. I don't feel like. I don't necessarily feel like she's coming for me for what I've got. Like if she's gonna be rocking with me, it's because she likes what she's rocking with. I mean, obviously, like we see how like down she is for Freddie. She's thirsting for that boy, and she can never shake that fix for him. So if you can get her hooked on you like that, like she's jonesing for Fred, and his name's Fred Jones if you didn't know, so it's supposed to be a little joke, but get her jonesing for Fred. Yeah, I mean, I think you got that on lock, and I don't know how why you'd want to rock with the cartoon version of Velma, at least, because she's got that like coconut head looking boy cut with that thick ass sweater and I don't know if that's orange or brown like skirt that she's rocking with the stockings and stuff. I already don't have good vision as well, so like I don't need another person with poor eyesight to rock with, because like I make the Velma Dinkley joke all the time. If I don't have my glasses, I'm like, my glasses, I can't see without my glasses, because I am quite blind. So but I really enjoy some Scooby-Doo. It looks like we got some other guests joining. So, Willie B.
What's happening, Chase?
Not much, man. What's going on?
Doing good.
Hell yeah.
Doing good, King.
Hell yeah. I think I see JB walking in too. So that's what's up.
JB, what's happening?
Hell yeah. What's my boy Fast? What's up? Well, I talked about him a moment ago, but this is my guy JB, and then William Baker just walked in too. Willie B.
I just want to sneak y'all boy on today.
Nah. So, well, I'll just cut the recording here, and it's been fun. So, like I said, this is just like I said, 15, 20, 30 minutes, however much time we have in the morning, just to rock and roll and hang out in the Chase Lounge. So, see you guys tomorrow.